This is Justified by Jury. And it has been brought to my attention that I have a knack for documenting artists with the same letter first and last name. My documentaries have included Lisa Lopez, Leah LaBelle, LaToya Luckett, and Farrah Franklin. And guess what? Today is no different, as we will be diving deep into the life and career of R&B singer and acclaimed actress Naturi Naughton, aka Tasha from Power, aka the chocolate cutie from 3LW, aka the voice of reason in Lottery Ticket, aka young Little Kim in her original skin tone, aka Denise in the musical Fame, and Jill the Thrill in Queens, etc. Y'all better give Miss Naturi her flowers and quit playing. Quit playing. Shoots. Here in Chapter 2 of the Triumphant Arise series, we will detail Naturi's humble beginnings, the formation of 3LW, her trials, tribulations, and ultimately her road to redemption amidst all of the adversity she faced, for absolutely no other reason but being a dark-skinned black woman in the world of entertainment. If there are any other artists you would like to see covered in these series, please leave your suggestions in the comments below. Let's get started. Naturi Cora Maria Naughton was born on May 20th, 1984 in East Orange, New Jersey, and like many other future singers, she discovered her talents and abilities in church. She sang in the children's choir at New Hope Baptist Church, which just so happened to be the same church Whitney Houston sang at as a child. She would go on to attend Newark School of the Arts, and at age 15 would get the golden opportunity to audition for an upcoming girl group called 3LW, which stood for Three Little Women. Now, a little woman is a common term for teenage girls who haven't come into adulthood yet act what some consider very grown or mature for their age, thus the phrase. The concept for the group Little Women was started in the early 90s by sisters Michelle and Tess Williams, who would build the group around their younger sister, Victoria. Throughout the early to mid-90s, there would be a revolving door of teenage female singers who would join the group briefly. One of the girls was Bianca Lawson, who would go on to have success in acting, appearing in Save the Last Dance, Pretty Little Liars, Teen Wolf, and Queen Sugar. Another one of the members was Alicia Cook, who had such a passion for piano that after her brief stint with the group, she would change her name to Alicia Keys and sign with Columbia Records and release the song Da-Dee-Da, Sexy Thing, which was featured on the Men in Black soundtrack in 1997. However, her big break wouldn't come until 4 years later when she left Columbia and signed with Clive Davis to become the cultural icon she is today. But hey, if you're looking for good music to add to your playlist, y'all go check out Da-Dee-Da. That is such an underrated gem right there. You are guaranteed to have it on repeat. Scout's Honor. I promise you, I wear that song out every time I hear it. I cannot just listen to it once. But anyway, back to the story. After many failed attempts to get the group off the ground, the Williams sisters became discouraged. Michelle had managed many acts like Jodeci and Joe, and even CeCe Peniston, and knew that there was a need for a young teen girl group consisting of many different shades so that teenage girls of color had a group to look up to, showcasing that you can have a sisterhood and friendships with people of multiple different tones. And by 1999, Victoria was grown and had pursued other passions, so they decided to shift their focus to the youngest sister, Keely, who had just turned 13 at the time, and decided to build the group around her. As the light-skinned black girl spot had now been accounted for, they wanted to hold auditions for a darker-skinned black girl and a lighter-toned Latina to represent 3 different shades of minority Little Women, which had only been done a couple of times before in the industry and to no avail. Upon their search, they recruited Adrienne Bailon and Candace Guyton, and they became great friends and moved in with Keely to complete their artist development process. The group would eventually audition for Tommy Mottola and was in the process of signing with Sony Epic when Candace's parents demanded a bit more control in the group's creative process. Their devout religious views clashed with the Williams sisters' vision for the group as far as styling was concerned and with the subject matter in the group's demos. So when Candace went home for vacation, her parents wouldn't return calls as they debated on whether or not to have their daughter continue with the group. Tired of waiting, Teese informed the Guytons that the group would be moving forward without Candace, as Teese needed team players who were obedient and militant in the quest for the group's overall success. Candace, however, would hold firm to her views and would make her own triumphant return to music in 2011 as the country singer Mickey Guyton. She would go on to become the first black woman to be nominated for a Grammy in the country music category since the Pointer Sisters' win in 1975, proving that we are present in every genre of music and in every category of entertainment. And don't you forget it. It would prove prophetic that singers who took part in this group would be destined for greatness later in their lives. So when Naturi joined the group just 1 month after Candace's departure and signed the deal with Adrian and Keeley, she sealed this fate. However, like the others mentioned before, the best for Naturi would only come after the storm. Right off the bat, the group had internal conflicts, as these were three very different girls from different walks of life. So they had to learn to get along. Naturi came from a two-parent, straight and narrow upbringing, her father being from the Virgin Islands, and he didn't play. So she had a very grounded view on things, whereas Keeley's birth mother, Jan, had passed away just 7 months after she was born, and as the baby of the family, she was spoiled heavily growing up by her older siblings, and with her eldest sister Michelle becoming her legal guardian. Then you had Adrian, who remained neutral in most situations as she had one goal in mind: to become famous.
She doesn't understand me. Naturi just won't listen. That's what it is. Nah, actually, the funny thing is we always Adrian's like, and you know what? No. Nah, actually.
Okay, we'll let you explain it.
I think what happens in our situation is that we're so different from one another. Everybody comes from different areas and we're raised very differently from one another. So when we first got together, everybody had different opinions and a different way of looking at things. And we kind of had to formulate something that would fit all of us, which and musically, we definitely took pieces that we loved from one another, blended that, and we started to blending our personalities as well, learning from each other and learning that it's cool to be different from each other. You just learn to love each other and learn things from your differences and love each other no matter what.
Gotta keep the peace. Gotta keep the peace, you know? Yeah, but it wasn't always like that, just so everybody knows, okay? This was not perfect.
The group eventually learned to iron out their differences as they grew closer together. Adrian said in an article with Billboard, "We've become like sisters. We have our 8-hour rehearsals, and we sing, pray, and go to church as a unit. We sleep in bunk beds," she said with a giggle. "Our bond is unbreakable." They formed and solidified their image as young, hip teen girls representing each skin shade, and vocally, as all members would sing lead.
Keely was the wild, eclectic chick or whatever. Okay, cool.
Okay.
And I love the fact that 3LW had 3 distinct personalities, 3 different people. Adrian was supposed to be like the Puerto Rican, thing, bring that Latin flavor.
Okay.
And I was the brown-skinned girl who was supposed to represent all the brown-skinned girls out there, and I was just doing me, basically.
The group would go on to release their self-titled debut on December 5th, 2000, which peaked at number 29 on the Billboard 200 and was certified platinum not long after. Their success was propelled by the hit single, No More, Baby I'ma Do Right, which was released 4 months earlier and peaked at number 23 on the Hot 100, and peaked inside the top 10 in the UK and the top 5 in New Zealand, where it was certified gold both there and in Australia. The connection that Michelle had from managing other artists garnered the girls promo by appearing on Ed McMahon's NextBigStar.com tour, along with gigs sponsored by Adidas and Jump magazine. They also embarked on a European venture to celebrate the success they had outside the States. Their website went from clocking 2,000 hits to 10,000 hits. The music video was shot and released on The Box in September of that year and had heavy airplay on MTV and BET as well. The song would go on to become 3LW's most successful single. However, it was evident that Naturi took a back seat on this track, as she only says 5 words on the pre-chorus.
No, I'm not the one.
Meanwhile, Keely sang the first verse and did the rap, while Adrian sang the second verse and the whole bridge. It was set up this way due to marketing.
When I was 15 years old, about 3 years ago, management and our production company sat us down and basically told us how we had to put Adrian, the Puerto Rican girl, more up front, and the J-Lo thing is in right now. And they basically explained how there's a Puerto Rican fad and that she had to be more up front. And I'm thinking, oh my, like I'm 15, I'm just trying to sing. That's all I really want to do. And I didn't think that my skin color should really matter, but they basically just told me that, well, you know, nobody's really checking for, you know, the brown skin girl to be up front, J-Lo, and the Puerto Rican thing is what's in right now.
The push to have Adrian front and center would become more prevalent as the group's popularity continued to grow, and as the most marketable member of the three at the time, she would have more opportunities presented to her. But more on that later. 3LW would appear on the Nickelodeon show Taina, where all three would appear as a group called Blue Mascara.
Now we've got to get you up to speed.
Yeah, we have a show at Papito's Thursday night.
Do you think I'll be ready in time? You'll be fine. Just follow my lead, since I am the lead. On your way to the top, you have to drop the Klingons along the way.
Whether they're your friends or not.
Because they're only going to hold you back. You guys really believe that?
We live that.
Around this time, the group geared up to release their second single called Till I Say So, but the idea was scrapped in favor of Players Gon' Play, which had become the fan favorite and was Naturi's true shining moment in the group as she sang lead on both verses and the bridge. It was released in April of 2001 and only peaked at number 81 on the Hot 100, but fared better in the UK where it peaked at number 21. Naturi's soulful voice captured the hearts of many and became a staple in creating the sound that the group would become known for. The video received decent video play on TV channels such as BET and MTV and enjoyed some success on BET's 106 & Park, which was brand new at the time, and on MTV's TRL. 3LW's success granted them a spot on the TRL tour in the summer of 2001, alongside acts such as Destiny's Child, Green, Nelly and the St. Lunatics, and rapper Eve. And in October of 2001, they would appear alongside Michael Jackson, James Brown, Mariah Carey, and a host of other artists at the United We Stand benefit concert in DC, paying tribute to the victims of 9/11. They then collaborated with Little Romeo and Nick Cannon for a cover of Parents Just Don't Understand, which was featured on the Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius soundtrack. The girls were on top of the world at this point and were excited to follow up their success with recording their second album, tentatively titled Same Game, Different Rules. But 2002 would bring about many challenges that would ultimately prove to be too great to navigate through with the current lineup. Firstly, the group had seen so much success, but their accounts weren't reflecting it. According to Naturi, the group only made enough money to pay back advances and barely got by with their own finances. They appeared on an episode of MTV Cribs where they faked their wealth.
I watch, like when I'm in the scene, I'm like, yo, this really happened to me. Yeah. That Cribs episode. The Cribs, yeah. I lived it. I was doing a fake Cribs I'm telling everybody now on the Breakfast Club. MTV did the Cribs, and you know, like back when 3LW was hot, we had to pretend, but I didn't have a car, I didn't have a house, I didn't have any of those things, but we have to project this image, and I literally did that and had to clean the house by 7 o'clock to give it back to the owner.
Just a side note, even though this episode was as fake as a $3 bill, it's interesting that they had Naturi and Keely in average bedrooms and sharing a 1-sink tiny bathroom, while Adrian got a huge 2-sink master bathroom with a fireplace and a balcony all to herself. But fake fantasies aside, 3LW was facing a bigger issue. Songs from their new album were leaked online, and the label considered dropping them altogether. They felt that 3LW had their fun for the Y2K, but girl groups in general were being phased out around this time. So Epic didn't see a demand for 3LW, and the group's fans had to rally around and start an online campaign called Never Let Go of 3LW, which was derived from the name of one of the tracks leaked from the new session. The fans sent emails to Sony Music and even Tommy Mottola himself. There was also a hotline in which fans could call and leave messages for the executives up at the label so that they could know firsthand that there was still a demand for the group. It was a genius strategy, and the label would grant the girls an extended 2-album deal. They would go on to be featured in Naughty by Nature's music video, Feels Good, and would also appear on the Barbershop soundtrack with their song Could Have Been You, which is one of my all-time favorites by them. They returned to the studio to work on their album, now called Girl Can Mac. However, treading lightly due to Epic Records' incessant need for market value, the management team would roll out a ton of new market tactics to ensure crossover success. And where they once appreciated Naturi for reeling in the urban crowd with brown skin representation, they were now wanting to dial it back. A lot.
Naturi's voice is too soulful. You're not crossover enough. Naturi, your look is not hot right now. Nobody's checking for a dark-skinned girl. Why would we put you in front? Everything that was working, it had reversed. So the second album was when everything changed. Second album with 3LW, I wasn't allowed to sing lead as much anymore. I was told that my sound was not commercial or sellable or crossover. And I think when people get successful, they literally lose their minds.
Naturi's voice and presence would be greatly limited on this album, with her vocals only appearing on 4 out of the total 16 tracks associated with the project. She only sang lead on 1 song, which was called Funny, which I love, by the way. However, when the group was recording their song This Goes Out, which is also a fan favorite, as many fans believe Naturi sang on the hook, that wasn't actually the case.
I wanted to sing on a background part, a simple background part, and they wouldn't let me sing. They had the vocal producer go in and sing the part.
You are lying!
No lie.
Ray!
I was in the
She
studio.
is lying!
No, I'm dead serious. I was in the studio ready to sing right there all day, all night. And I said, why don't you have me go in and do that part, like a simple harmony part? And this is when me, Keely, and Adrian were still cool. And Keely said, yeah, Terry could do that part. She'll sound good on it. But she had to consult Michelle. And when the vocal producer came back and said, I'm sorry, I have to do the part.
The lead single ahead of the album's release was I Do, produced by P. Diddy, and features the rapper Loon. It was released in June of 2002, and the single peaked at number 58 on the Billboard Hot 100 during 2002. It achieved greater success in New Zealand. It peaked at number 13 on the New Zealand Top 40.
Wanna get down, baby? I do. Holla at me, baby. Ooh, if you're rolling deep tonight, then I do wanna know you. And if you do wanna get down, baby, it's cool. Holla at me, baby. Ooh, if your dough is ridiculous, then I do wanna get close to you.
The single, however, features no leads by Naturi, and many fans still speculate today whether or not she had any vocals present on the recording at all. What's crazy is that, according to Keely, Puff initially didn't want Keely singing lead on the track as he felt her voice was too youthful for the subject matter. However, Tease and Michelle demanded that she sang the first verse, as they were paying him for the record. It's sad that they didn't put any of this energy into getting Naturi on the track. And when the video appeared, fans noted how they kept Naturi mostly in the background. This was due to imaging, as Adrian's face was the most prevalent throughout the visual. They wanted the dark-skinned token for representation purposes, but didn't want her image to be front and center. They started to criticize everything she did, as they believed it was her image and sound that held the group back from elevating into their new, more pop image. Naturi dealt with it for a long time, but after a while, as they became more demanding, they realized she would have to get the boot.
They were never satisfied with what I brought, and they said that I didn't bring my end of what 3LW needed. So they're trying to replace me with this understudy girl who's basically learning all my parts to be me.
She's a brown-skinned girl.
Initially, they wanted her to bow out gracefully and tell the fans that she went home to attend college. But the girls were in negotiation to launch a clothing line and had talks of them starring in their own sitcom. With so many fruits from her labor, she wasn't trying to go nowhere. Meanwhile, Word got back to Wendy Williams that Naturi was being kicked out, and Wendy basically told the whole world the news on her radio show, which sent fans into a frenzy on the message boards and angered the management team as they hadn't rolled out their plans just yet. So while sitting in a car outside of KFC, Naturi and Michelle argued about how Wendy obtained the information. The management team firmly believed that when Naturi had developed a business relationship with Kevin Hunter, who was Wendy Williams' husband at the time, that when she couldn't resolve her issues with management, she aired her grievances to him, who then divulged the information to Wendy. Naturi maintained that she did no such thing. However, Michelle wasn't buying it. She then instructed Naturi to get on the phone with Chris, who was the website moderator, and sugarcoat the situation. So when Naturi got on the phone with Chris and began to tell him the truth in the matter, Michelle took the phone from Naturi and explained that she was being melodramatic and lying. By now, Adrian and Keely had returned to the vehicle with their dinner plates and began arguing with Naturi over the matter.
So I say to Michelle, what did I say wrong? And all I know is out of the blue, Keely just is like, F you. And then throws the plate dead in my face, in my eye. My eye was watering. It was a mess.
You had mashed potatoes and gravy.
Mashed potatoes mashed all over my hair, my face, down my clothes. It was a mess. And right then and there, I was like, I don't have to take this. I don't have to take anybody trying to physically assault me, put me in harm. So I left.
And there were some names called, some profanities thrown. She turned around, Keely, and threw the plate of food, mashed potatoes, chicken, whatever else was in there, in my face. And I got out the car and I was just like, I'm going home. I was not given a gift to sing, to deal with this, excuse my language, but real talk, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing.
This incident marked the end of Naturi's time in the group. Though she flew home, she maintained she never quit the group, and that management ultimately forced her out, which prompted Naturi to lawyer up with Ray Hamlin, who also represented Wendy Williams at the time, and appeared on Wendy Williams' radio show to air out the dirty laundry, as you've heard in the clips before. This story sent shockwaves through the entire music industry, as many people were furious with the 3LW camp at this point. The remaining members had to beef up on security as they started receiving hate mail and death threats, which prompted the girls to go on TRL and explain their side of the story.
That you threw a hot plate of Kentucky Fried Chicken in her face?
We feel silly even defending myself against a two-piece. It sounds crazy to us.
Like,
it really sounds crazy. Well, first of all, she was not arguing with my mom. She was arguing with Adrian.
Okay.
So, I think a lot of stories have gotten a little, very mixed up. We were in an argument basically about, the rumors have been flying around that, Keely, that Naturi was getting kicked out the group or that she was leaving or whatever it was. And basically, it was like she got on the phone with somebody who, is the board moderator and was just like, yeah, they are kicking me out. The two light-skinned girls are kicking me out. And I was like, light-skinned girls? I was like, you've always called me Adrian. I never knew that was like, whoa. And that obviously got me mad, and we started arguing there, which wasn't that unnormal for us, Like any, teenagers, we argue. And the food was actually hit. It was a plate of food that was hit by Keely's 3-year-old sister. So to turn that back and that it was physical assault, kind of shocked us, and it's a serious accusation, so I think it's definitely hurt us more than anything.
But we just, like to clear up the record, that didn't happen. She was never physically abused. She was never verbally abused. I mean, just to say any of that, and to bring in color, and to say that, that she was kicked out of the group because she was the dark-skinned girl. It's crazy. She was brought into the group because she was the dark-skinned girl.
Keely and Adrian would do an article in Sister to Sister, where they explained that Keely's 3-year-old relative was excited during the commotion in the car, and she was the one who threw food on everyone, not just Naturi. Teese later explained that right after Naturi's interview with Wendy, and before 3LW's TRL interview, that the group were initially invited to go on Wendy's radio show to explain their side of the story.
By the way, she invited us to come over to BLS to tell us our side of the story, and we all trekked over there, and then when we got to the lobby, her producer told us that, oops, sorry, no can do, it's not gonna happen. Yeah, remember that? No, Wendy, you probably don't remember because at the time, for you, it was just all a game while you were helping to ruin our lives.
So in the meantime, she would take to the message boards to address Naturi's allegations. Yet she would end up doing more harm than good. She wrote, Some have said that Naturi was pushed to the background and not allowed to sing because she is dark-skinned. That is completely false. I personally selected Naturi to be in this group after numerous people auditioned. I never wanted her to be just a background dancer or singer. However, even though Naturi has a beautiful voice, not every singer fits the style of every song. On their first album, we chose very light-hearted material. They were very young girls. Her voice did not suit most of this material. When it did work for a song, I put her on the song. And on 2 songs, Players Gon' Play and Curious, Naturi sang the entire lead except for the bridge parts. Adrian sings most of the leads. Why? Not because Puerto Ricans was in style, as it has been claimed, but because she has an incredible voice, and she is very good in the studio and absolutely reliable when doing live shows, period. And when it came time to address the topic of colorism, she said, "Deep down, I think you kids feel that they think they're better than dark-skinned girls, but they don't feel that way. The truth is that the only reason most of you dislike them is because they happen to have been born light, and that is truly sad. What does that say about how you feel about yourself?" The same day that Teese wrote these statements was the same day that 3LW's pre-taped Live on Sunset concert would premiere on Team Nick, which caused fans who knew what was going on to feel all sorts of mixed emotions. Were the group still together? And if not, why can't they just look at this footage, put aside pride, and come back to the fold, if for nothing else, for the music and for the fans? Even though Naturi maintains she never wanted to leave 3LW, their management team maintains that the whole ordeal was orchestrated by Kevin Hunter, who sought to snag a solo deal for Naturi with him as her manager, by gaining sympathy from the general public and hoping to generate a few offers from different executives wanting to strike while the iron was hot, because it did indeed become a hot topic at the time. The following month, Naturi would appear at the 2002 VMAs by herself. Though this was her first public appearance apart from the group, it would be her last appearance, period, for many years to come. In October, the group would release their long-awaited album to disappointing sales, but not before Naturi would file a lawsuit alleging that management urged her to develop a romantic relationship with one of the members of the Saint Lunatics in order to secure 3LW's place on a tour with them. After meeting with the Saint Lunatics member, Naturi told the team that nothing transpired between her and the rapper. She says she was then harshly criticized by Michelle for not getting her Mac game up and failing to close the deal. The remaining members said in a statement, "Although we are not surprised that Naturi has taken legal action, we were shocked by the outrageous allegations that she has made against us, and we look forward to handling this matter in a professional manner in a court of law." Now, 3LW was already walking a thin line with Epic Records, but after this entire fiasco, the label felt that the act was too much of a liability. To finish out their obligation, the remaining girls recorded a Christmas album before Epic would drop all 3 members from their contracts. At this time, Adrian had auditioned and secured her spot in the Disney film The Cheetah Girls, alongside Raven-Symoné, Sabrina Bryan, and Solange Knowles. However, at the last minute, Solange's father, Matthew Knowles, had her pulled from the project to have her focus solely on her upcoming music career, and with the spot needing to be filled, it was decided that Keeley would take her place. The Cheetah Girls would become the highest grossing film on the Disney Channel at that time. The filming was set to begin in late October and wrapped up in December. And by January of 2003, the girls were on the scout to find a replacement member in Naturi's absence, as the group would sign with So So Def and secure a new deal. They always maintained the image of having 3 women of different shades, so it was fitting when they found another brown-skinned girl named Jessica Benson, who would go on to re-record many of the songs from their second album and perform them live at several shows, which, if you're going to be a replacement member, that's honestly the best way to do it. However, Jessica would find herself constantly on the back burner anytime the girls geared up for Cheetah Girls' obligations. They would eventually make plans to release another album in 2006, and even filmed a music video with Jermaine Dupri. However, the Cheetah Girls sequel would take priority, as that's where the money was, and 3LW, not to mention, was still receiving bad press from their breakup years earlier. Realizing that the Cheetah Girls were the more marketable route, they decided to retire 3LW indefinitely in 2007 and instead release another Cheetah Girl album apart from the movies, before retiring the franchise for good in 2008. And I know Jessica was pissed. She had to be. To continuously put her young adult years on hold for a maybe, only to be dropped on her head and walk away with absolutely nothing. Yeah, that had to be frustrating. But you know who was even more upset? Whose dreams went down the drain while she had to sit back and watch her antagonist prosper and go on to make a worldwide impact on young girls of all ages? Naturi. And there was nothing she could do about it.
I remember thinking when I was walking around Seton Hall, people were like, oh, this girl from 3W, she was just on TRL. But yet I had nothing to show for it. I could barely buy myself a car. I just remember feeling like, I was robbed of not just, financially robbed, but I was robbed emotionally, and feeling like I was, put in a position where I couldn't pursue my dreams. I felt like somebody literally pulled the rug from under me. Definitely jolted me back to reality. I was like, oh, 1 minute I was on tour with Destiny's Child on the TRL tour, or on, the NSYNC Pop Odyssey tour, and the next minute I was struggling trying to figure out how to pay my way through college. So all of that to say is, as quickly as you can go up is as quickly as you can go down, and to stay humble. So I recognize that nothing is guaranteed. You have to work for everything you have. And I stayed as humble as possible throughout that whole experience. It made me realize, okay, I'm going to work for everything that I get, and nobody is going to give me anything. I'm going to have to work for it in order to sustain.
She would attend Seton Hall University, and in late 2004 would join the Broadway musical Hairspray, and would perform for the next 3.5 years. She managed to keep fans of hers engaged on MySpace in the meantime by putting out a few demos on her page over the years.
Think of you, think of you. And though we're not together, say work out, but whatever. Be cool if we could still be friends. And I know we had issues, I still can't help but miss you. I need you in my life, my friend. Lately I wonder what you're thinking, and if you're real. You've been acting different, distant. Baby, what's the deal? I try to give you my loving.
By March of 2008, she decided to take her acting talents to the big screen by portraying Little Kim in the 2009 film Notorious B.I.G., where she would face similar criticisms that she endured 7 years earlier. For one, the film received mixed reviews from fans and critics alike. But secondly, and most importantly, Little Kim herself made it known that she did not like how her character was portrayed, nor did she approve of Naturi being the actress to portray her.
And how do you know how I touch Biggie? How do you know how we kissed? How do you know how we talked? How do you know what, there were certain things that we did intimately that no one would ever know except for me and him, right. And so after the movie went down and, they already picked who they wanted to pick, and, they already greenlit the movie and they were already shooting in Brooklyn, I went down there with my lawyers flipping, what the heck is going on? And even with the girl that played me, it's like, I never talked to her. She never made an initiative to even try to come to me and say, well, look, Kim, I need your blessings for this. Never.
And usually when somebody's doing a movie like that, they at least want to roll with the person.
A seasoned actress would do that. I mean,
Have you seen her yet?
I've never seen her.
Are you going to choke her when you see her?
No, I'm not going to do that.
Naturi herself was handpicked by Biggie's mother, Miss Wallace, for the portrayal. However, Miss Wallace did not have the best relationship with Little Kim herself. And when it was rumored that Little Kim wanted Christina Milian to portray her, an actress significantly lighter than Naturi, as Little Kim herself was much lighter by this time in her own life, rumors of colorism began to swirl, and the notions of being too dark once again surrounded Naturi's name. A rep for Little Kim did eventually come out and dispel rumors of her wanting to be portrayed by Christina. However, maintained that Little Kim still despised Naturi's portrayal of her. To come back into the industry under similar turmoil in which one originally departed from is enough for anyone to say, to hell with this. But Naturi was determined to rise above the foolishness and ascend to higher heights. And in just a few months, she would star as Denise Dupree in the American musical drama film Fame, which was a loose remake of the 1980 film of the same name. It would premiere at number 3 at the box office and gross $70 million at the box office internationally, making it a success. In addition to the film's soundtrack, which would feature Naturi on 5 songs, the biggest of which was a cover of Irene Cara's hit, Fame, the creators felt that Naturi had such a powerful voice that she deserved even more time to flex and showcase her talents. And just 5 months later, they would release Fame Presents Naturi Naughton as Denise, Didn't I Tell You? Which is an extended play consisting of 11 additional tracks, all performed by Naturi. So in total, she recorded upwards of 16 to 18 tracks in all for the film. To celebrate her achievement, she would stunt on the naysayers of her past in the song Haters, in which she dropped a music video for. And my teenage self had that song on my iTunes with the quickness, you heard? But Naturi didn't gloat too long before getting right to work, appearing in TV films like Highland Park, Let the Church Say Amen, and Lottery Ticket, which has become a regular broadcasted film, receiving a ton of replay on the BET network. She would also appear in multiple TV shows like Mad Men, It's Always Sunny in Philly, The Client List, and Let's Stay Together. She was a main cast member on the set of the historical crime drama television series The Playboy Club, which was set in 1961 and centered on the employees, known as bunnies, of the original Playboy Club operating in Chicago. The series was highly anticipated on NBC and had heavy promotion, only to debut with disappointing numbers in viewership, mostly due to its erotic nature and the fact that NBC already had a wide audience on the network with plenty of content restrictions. The Parents Television Council had even boycotted the show long before its debut. It would be canceled after airing only 3 episodes, though 7 would air in total after the creators attempted to shop it around to other networks, but to no avail. Though it was an uncomfortable setback for Naturi, it would prepare her for her biggest comeback yet, when she would star as Tasha St. Patrick in the Starz TV show Power that premiered in 2014, for which she was acclaimed for the show's entire 6-season run and is currently featured in the show's spin-off series Power Book 2. That same year, she would collaborate with Tevin Campbell on the song Let It Flow, released on the Full Force's album With Love from Our Friends. Fast forward to 2017, the year that would bring about many great milestones highlighting Naturi's past, present, and future. For her present, she won her first NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series for the 3rd season of Power. For her future, she announced that she was expecting a baby girl. And for her past, she would reunite with Adrienne Bailon on her talk show, The Real, and they mended their friendship.
There was a lot that went on in that time that now looking back is just like, we were so young and it was crazy.
Yeah.
And that I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, never meant any harm towards you. And that I think you're talented and beautiful. And looking back, a lot of that was fear. There was so much fear put in us just all around that when we look back,
Girl,
we're like,
I know.
She would announce the birth of her daughter, Zuri, on July 17th, 2017. Although she was riding high on the much-deserved and long overdue wave of success that she had to rebuild from the ground up, certain people from her past kept trying to drag her down. Her former manager, Teese, blasted her reunion with Adrienne, saying, "So let me get this straight. Adrienne Bailon continued to be managed by me for 4 years after Naturi left because she was afraid? Please. I think you should fight fire with fire, especially when people have been talking smack for years. 2 fakes. What lies should I expose first? What exactly did we do to Naturi? What is Adrienne apologizing for? We put you on and you spent years talking trash about us." And yes, after 13 years of listening to tall tales, especially Naturi, I'm pissed off. You had a problem with skin color, not us. Teese went on to launch a verbal tirade against Adrienne, with claims of everything from infidelity to her sabotaging her friendships for fortune and fame. Adding insult to injury, Lil' Kim rehashed her distaste in Naturi's portrayal of her after all these years.
I wasn't involved in it. I actually had to get my lawyers involved, in which I ended up getting a check from it. And that was the only reason why I just, whatever. He has nothing in common with me, nothing. Like, we have nothing in common. No, seriously. Yeah. I've said it already, so I'm not gonna sit here and like act like I didn't say these things or whatever, but I've said it. She's nothing in common with me. She wanted me to just be okay with it. But if I'm not okay with you playing me in the role, either you're gonna do it, because I can't tell you not to take a role and get your money, right? But don't say, oh, I love her and this, that, and the third, when you were like, well, I don't care what she think, I'm gonna still do this movie. So basically, you're doing it without my stamp of approval, so you're doing it for a check, or you're doing it to come up. That's fine. But don't make it seem like I'm hating on you because I want you to do it. I don't, listen.
To top it all off, during the pandemic shutdown, Keely made it known that she's still upset with Naturi over the events surrounding the group's split.
Why would I throw chicken? That's wasting food. Right. And I was going for her neck. And I'm not ashamed of that, people. No, I'm not.
You told her, what can you expect? I appreciate her defending me. But also, people don't know.
Then she said we left her. She said we left her at the KFC.
We did not. We took her to the hotel, and then that was the road manager.
And that was, thinking back, sure, we should have had like a publicity team. Y'all should have did a better job with that. Okay, like doing a crisis team to let us know how to handle the situation. No, money, you're talking and you're being distracting.
Okay, my bad.
All I can say is, when things are going so well for you, you will be tested on whether or not you entertain low vibrational nonsense from your past. Thankfully, Naturi was wise enough to continue pressing forward with her elevation because she didn't need to rehash any of it. Her life and accomplishments speak for themselves. She would go on to be featured in Queen of the South, Stepsisters, Really Love, 88, and Emperor. In 2021, it was announced that she was to join the cast of ABC's music series Queens, alongside Brandy and Eve, who she was previously on tour with 20 years earlier. The series detailed the life of 4 singers/rappers who were part of a girl group in the late 90s and early 2000s. And for Naturi, this was therapeutic given her time in an actual girl group. Queens debuted on October 19th, 2021, to largely positive reviews, and the series would release 2 music videos with the girls singing and rapping in their respective characters, along with a full soundtrack of songs that the girls recorded for the series. Even though the series was short-lived, which was a doggone shame because I was a huge fan, it served as an avenue for Naturi to make amends with certain events in her past and forgiving those who weren't sorry. And I'm glad that she had the opportunity to do so. But on to the future. In April 2022, she married the founder of Owners District and serial entrepreneur Xavier II Lewis in Atlanta. And in February of 2023, they announced that they were expecting. Congrats to the beautiful couple, and I wish them many more blessings together. When looking back at Naturi's life and how far she's come, it's important to remind yourself that even when life knocks you down and others count you out, that the keys, the power, and the healing is in your hands. Naturi took the negativity and used her fear as fuel to fly. Though she wears her past trauma as a patch on her shoulder, for her it symbolizes where she's been and what she's had the triumph to overcome. And she won't hesitate to tell her story, so that others may find encouragement in their journeys as well. Keep doing your thing, Naturi. You always were and will forever be an inspiration.
I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know, and I
This is Justified by Jury. Y'all know how to hit that like. Y'all know how to hit that subscribe. If you want to, do so. I'll catch y'all on the next one.